Hello and welcome to MyCustomXbox.com's tutorial on how to design a paint scheme for your controller. What we're going to talk about today is just the basics on what you're going to want to do and how you're going to want to do it in order to prepare it for the paint. We're going to do the painting in the actual next video here. First off, you want to be thinking about a few things. And I'm going to give you three basic rules here. First, the simpler the design, the better off your chances are of having a better controller turn out. Number two, the less colors equals the better your controller is going to turn out. And three, if you try and keep the pieces separate, i.e., for example, this blue controller, each piece that's separate is a different color per se. Instead of overlapping designs and things like that, the better your controller is going to turn out. Now, when I say better, I'm saying better means that you have the better possible, you have a better possibility for success. Not necessarily that, I mean, you can do an awesome controller. I've seen them, I've done them. They're cool when you overlap and things like that, but just keep in mind the simpler the better, especially if this is your first time. So let's get started right off the bat. Now, if you want to think about what am I going to do on this controller? How am I going to make this thing cool? You have two options. The first one is if you're an artist and you're super creative, sit down, sketch out what you want, and make a copy of it. Do not use your original when you start going to do these templates and things like that I'm talking about. You want to use a copy. Number two, if you're not creative and you're not an artist like me, you can, I'm saying I'm not an artist. You can go to the internet. I have a friend that wants me to do a Monster Energy controller. So right now I'm looking into ways of taking this logo and doing it. And the beauty about getting on Google and doing an image search is you get all these logos and they're fairly easy to get. Here's a Halo 3 one that I've cut out that I'm going to use a little bit for an example. And here's a tiger stripe pattern that I found on Google. Camouflage, you can get all those things. So what you're going to do is take this, for instance, and use your scissors, or if you're on a glass table like I keep telling you to do, this is all something I would recommend you do on glass. Lay out your pieces of tape. Go ahead and put your piece of paper down. You can either cut it with a knife or cut it with the scissors, and you can pull out a wonderful tiger stripe here, something like that. Another way you can do it is you can actually sit here and place it down right next to it, grab your pen, and you can just kind of trace where you think it goes to make kind of the same thing. I'm not nearly as good at that, so what I typically try to do is cut out, like, let's just say it's the tiger stripe piece, place it on the tape, and then just use my pen. And you don't have to do this very hard, you just want to get the pattern. So just trace around, and hold on one second and you'll see what I'm getting at here. If it moves, you can just put it back. If it's a big enough piece, you can actually tape it down. You just roll a piece of tape, put it on the back. Okay, now I have a tiger stripe on my piece of tape. X-Acto knife, glass. These are two of your favorite things at this point. You can just trace this out, and you just follow your lines that you've drawn on this blue tape. And keep in mind that when you draw it with the pen, it's not so bad if it's jagged. When you cut it with your X-Acto knife, you want to be very fluid, very gentle, because every jag that you make will come out in your paint job. So every round motion should be very round on the tape. And just let your fingers, kind of hold it, and then let your arm do the movement. All right. So now we have a tiger stripe. And now we're going to talk about the theory and the possibility of how to use this. And there's two different ways. And I've done this already one time before. You can either take this middle sticker, and what you would do is, if you had, let's say, a base coat of red, and you wanted the controller to be black and a red stripe in there, that's what you'd use this for. You'd take this out, you'd do a base coat of red, and we'll go over more of this in detail on the painting section, and you just lay it over your controller where you want it to be, and paint it all black, peel it off, and you'll have red. The second way, which I actually like, and I find it a little more effective, but it is harder sometimes to get it to contour, is to use the outline, the silhouette of the pattern and shape that you've just copied here and cut out. And this way, I know tiger stripe is a really popular one, and so a lot of people are always asking, how do you do a tiger stripe? How do I do a tiger stripe? Well, if you have a black controller, if you have an Elite, or you've gone out and got a black controller that's a rechargeable one, then what I recommend is don't repaint the whole controller. Just take this piece and stick it over the black, and then what we can do is we can accent the black with a particular color. And this is a lot harder because you've got a big piece of tape that you're working with, so sometimes it alters the shape a little bit. And I'm gonna just stop right here for a second, but as you can see, we've got a tiger stripe coming out. If the base is already black and now we painted a blue on top of it, when we peel that back, we will have a tiger stripe controller. I think that's a great way of doing it. If you want to get all crazy, and I keep telling you not to do this, but let's just say you're thinking, hey, I want to do it. I'm customizing my Xbox. This is MyCustomXbox.com. Why can't you tell me how to do it? I recommend taking all these pieces and putting them together. Don't, I've had people tell me, oh, no, you should line it up. You should do this. You should cut your sticker. No, forget that. Just take these pieces and then wrap it all the way over. Now, you want to keep in mind, and I'm going to say this gently, that when you do this, you're going to want to have done a base coat. And the base coat should always be painted separately, because you always want to, you don't necessarily have to paint the entire inside like this one, but you always want to paint this lip, or you're going to get a little white glow around there. You'll notice it, and nobody else probably will, but it'll drive you crazy, and you'll be like, dang it, why didn't I listen to them and do it right? So use the tape to cover it over. You can also take, if we were to use the inside one, here's one I already cut out. And let's say we wanted to wrap this one really crazy. We're like, you know what? This tiger stripe is going to go this way. I'm going to start on this piece. I'm going to wrap it all the way around. And voila, that's going to be a nice, cool stripe there. You can see that we've got some cool colors and concepts going on in this controller already. These are just different ways to do it. Make sure if you're going to overlap that you tape this together nicely. You have a couple different overlaps holding it. And we'll show you during the paint section on how you're going to hang this up. But you're going to run a piece of string through here so you can spray the whole thing. You're just going to loop it through this one, loop it through this one. I would caution you that when you're doing these stickers, especially with the blue tape, be careful not to, sometimes you need to cut, but when you cut, just be very careful not to touch the plastic, because your razor knife is not glass. It will cause a scar. You'll be like, crud, I can't believe I did that. So here's just a couple of those basic tips. Go ahead and cover the rest of it. Use your templates that we told you about to cover up your sticker. And same thing goes with the battery charger. If you're going to want to paint this with the stripes, just make sure. The problem I've found is that once you put it in here, I like the walls to be painted, but if you don't care about that, stick it in there, lay your stickers across. It'll work out just fine. It always does. I would recommend not doing anything too complicated on your first try, like a Halo 3 symbol right here. I've got the 3. Trace it out, pull it off, and then find a good spot for it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle, but if it is in the middle, cool. Once again, glass top, very important. That allows you to freely work. You can do that with your picture frame, or if you have a desk like this, if you're fortunate enough to have that. Anyway, if you have any questions, once again, we'll have the tutorials up step by step at www.mycustomxbox.com, and we hope to see you on the next video, which is actually painting the controller. Talk to you later.